Are you in fashion?
In fashion.
Did you see what she's wearing? Baton shoes.
I'm Sonia Sly. My heels are killing me.
But I was told I have a backstage pass.
You will need to get the right pass to get behind me, ma'am.
Look,
I'm
I need to
sorry.
go.
Code red. We have a situation.
I'm taking you inside the fashion industry to discuss trends, the reality behind the glamour, and the highs and lows of a fast-paced industry that never stops. Jessie Wong is a 23-year-old designer who launched her now successful leather accessories label You May as a result of winning an AMP scholarship. Her label's stocked around the country and she's quickly become a favourite of fashion lovers everywhere. So lovely to see the bags just all laid out there as well. It's so hard to not just race over there and just want to touch everything.
I've got to pack them all up tonight to go to Melbourne, so I don't know, I just love the deer napper, the beautiful deer skins from New Zealand light leathers, so yeah, it was
it's like
a great
super
product to work with.
soft and...
Yes, do you want to feel some?
Yeah.
Well, this is the buttermilk colourway, and it is like the most premium. I mean, New Zealand's the only place in the world that farms deer. It's all a byproduct of the venison industry. But,
Wow. I mean, and this is a beautiful... How would you describe...
well, they were all kind of named after foods for a little bit. And I think at the beginning of the year, our obsession was buttermilk chicken. There are a lot of good places in Wellington doing that at the moment. But it is more pinky than yellow.
And this, I take it this is part of the spring, summer?
Yes, so this colour is currently in stores. Well, I think it's actually sold out in most places, but
Custom orders?
we have it online for pre-order at the moment. So that's what all this stuff is, our pre-orders that we're getting ready to ship out soon. So that's the wee pocket that, yeah. And then we place a zip over the top of that with a wee leather window, and that's the inside of a 3/4 Brady bag. So we do a lot of those.
At New Zealand Fashion Week, you, as part of your presentation, actually made a bag on site.
Yes, we did.
Was that nerve-wracking?
No, it actually wasn't in the slightest. We just sort of didn't even really have a second to think about all the people that were turning up. Like, we're new, so we haven't really met anyone, so we didn't really know. We had our studio playlist playing, we had our nice wee setup, and we honestly weren't nervous at all.
Really? So you just kind of lock in and you're just doing it?
I was I kept on looking up, but I could just see, some of my friends and things, so it was fine. But then I think later on, people our company came up to me and were like, oh, you were talking to and from this big publication in this place in Australia, and you're on this snap. And I was just like, oh, I don't know.
Is that kind of overwhelming for you at this stage, or?
I don't know. I did a lot of public speaking in school, and I don't know, I don't really find that kind of thing daunting. I quite like telling my story and talking about the bags and explaining everything. This is sort of the platform that I've chosen to express my ideas, so it's quite nice to have that opportunity. It's a real privilege.
Now, I understand that you also interned at Akira Isagawa.
Yes, I did.
How was that experience?
It was pretty cool. It was different to any New Zealand internship I've done. So I was over there for quite a long time in Sydney in the final year of my degree. But it was really nice. He had quite a few interns, and we sort of all made this wee group. And because everyone was from different places, yeah, that was really lovely. But I did get to work personally with Akira because it's such a small business. He sort of has a few machinists and his studio manager, and yeah, but it was cool. I learnt hand spiral shiboris and was doing that on the front of all his wedding gowns.
So what is that exactly?
That's a embroidery technique. He's quite known for it. You sort of stitch a spiral and then you pull it in, but it takes quite a bit of handwork, and it's sort of the round embroidery that he's known for in his designs.
What did that experience reveal about, someone who has been in the industry, high-end designer for a long time, about, the process and just the reality of what it takes to be in the industry?
I mean, I think I sort of already knew this because I'd done internships before, but specifically with Akira, he's quite a hard case, and he really has worked very hard to get to where he is, and obviously he's extremely revered and has many accolades, but it's definitely not as glamorous as it might seem. His studio's out in Marrickville in Sydney, and it was really cold, and there was not Yeah, so I don't know. It's just definitely not what people think it is.
So you were working long hours and he's equally the same. And
Yeah. I think you'd be a fool to think that any designer hasn't worked extremely long hours to get their brand to where it is. But yeah.
And I imagine he's a perfectionist.
He is a perfectionist. He really is. He's got a great eye for detail.
And you also interned at 27 Names.
Yes, they're just down the road.
Yeah, well, it's nice that there's a bit of a Wellington, designer community here.
They were very encouraging, and from them I sort of learnt to just go for it if you wanted to. I remember Anjali saying that she'd help me with, my application for design school. They convinced me to go to Otago. I'd already had my auntie try and convince me because she works there, but when I heard it from them, I really looked up to them. So it was really lovely to be able to see their studio and how everything worked together, and at the time that it was only the two of them. So it was good to see all of that and learn how things like dispatch worked, and sometimes it is a full day of ironing. Same with Adakera as well.
What was your first, handbag memory, or even the first handbag you ever owned?
I don't know what the first handbag I ever owned was, but I know the first leather bag I ever made was for my first year elective, which was a cross-discipline elective, and you didn't have to make a product that was fashion at all. It could be anything, and the brief was design a bag based on your personality that will act as a business card and sort of tell a story about you. I said that I wanted to make a leather bag that would weather your journey with you, like a good pair of Doc Martens, because I just had these Docs at the time, which I absolutely loved. I could tell you where all the scratches came from. So I went and saw Bill Drake in Dunedin, and I bought some wee bits of leather off him and made a bag on my domestic sewing machine, but he really helped me with all of the fine details, and it was called a rat bag. That was Rat Bags, which was actually the same name as a bar in Dunedin, but I didn't realise that at the time.
Do you think you'd reprise a version of that bag, or have you?
There is one that is quite similar, the Becca bag, which we have at the moment.
Now, the one thing I guess I'm curious about is, because I'm Chinese as well, and so you're half,
Yep.
and just the fact that you chose to go with a Chinese name as your brand, I was quite intrigued. Was it influenced at all by, having been in, I guess you've shown at Shanghai Fashion Week already, but, because of that potential to expand into, an international or even Chinese market?
Yeah, that wasn't on my mind when I chose the name at all. I know that I've been thinking about having Yume as a label name since I was in high school, which I didn't actually quite remember until one of my high school friends told me that. She remembered that conversation. I don't think it was because of that. I think it was more because the words look really beautiful. They sound really beautiful when they're pronounced right. Yume, not Yumi. I think they're just not attached to any other real meaning, and you don't think of anything else when you hear them. So I quite liked that about it, and sort of the connotations around it. It's all the girls in my generation on my dad's side of the family have their middle names as something May, so Ling Mei, Yu Mei, Ho Mei, Mei Mei. So that was quite nice. But now that we are thinking sort of along those lines, it does align quite nicely. But I think also it's nice to keep the whole New Zealand made aspect of it. And I did wonder if it would be too Asian, but then you have your Jimmy Choo, Alexander Wang, and I think it's just the image you project onto it.
So how many people have you got here?
On an average day, we have 3 people working here.
Including yourself?
Yes. But then we have a couple of interns from New Zealand Fashion Tech, which are awesome, and we're getting more people on board soon. So
Right, and that's just necessary because, the label's just exploding at the moment. Are you surprised?
I am. It's only been just over a year and a half, but it has been quite a lot of hard work behind the scenes. I think sort of when we were up at Fashion Week, one of the guys who works at our PR company was kind of like, it's almost like Fashion Week's best kept secret. Nobody really knew what it was, and then it was already, stocked everywhere. So
Even though it might seem like you've just come out of the blue, because fashion industry are kind of loving Yume at the moment. And I saw you on Paul Henry the other day as well, which was fantastic, to get that kind of profile.
Yeah, that was great. That was through AMP, who have been really good to me.
Winning the scholarship, was that the AMP scholarship? Was that the kind of the kick-off point for you to go, I can really start to take this seriously now?
Yes, I won it the week before I graduated. So it was, yeah, I think in my interview, I was kind of like, oh, they were like, what are your plans next? I was like, well, next week I'm graduating. And then, I guess this is the plan. Well, I knew it was the plan, but it sort of was like I hadn't got past how I was actually going to fund it, coming off a student life sort of style. And
Quite full on too, though, because straight out of school, there's no downtime. You're immediately like, okay, I've got to do this now.
I mean, that's my personality though as well. I didn't mind in the slightest.
So how old are you now?
I'm 23 now.
Oh my gosh. So, and the responsibility of running your own business at 23. What are the biggest challenges for you?
I reckon the thing that I worry about the most is that everyone who works here is really happy and is loving what they do every day. So I don't know if that's a challenge because I think we have a lot of fun in the studio. I don't know, maybe the challenge is that we don't have a rule book or anything to go by, so I'm sort of just everything is made up by how we want to do it. But it seems to be working.
I was speaking to Wellington-based Jessie Wong, founder of You May. You've been listening to My Heels Are Killing Me. I'm Sonia Sly. To find out more or to listen again, head to our podcast page on the rnz.co.nz website.